Yes, here we go, you guys. The second Balls Deep breakdown of the day, the third Balls Deep breakdown of the week, the fourth piece of content on Uncle Weezy's channel for the week. UFC Vegas 49, Gregory Rodrigues versus Armen Petrosyan. I'm almost done for the week. I have been absolutely on a marathon today, and this is the last mile of that marathon. We are going to break down all the stats of this UFC Vegas 49 matchup from nose to toes, from east to west, from top to bottom, from north to south. We got to get all of it. We got to get the tail of the tape, the experience, the finish stats, the grappling stats, the striking stats, the strength of schedule, the last five. We got to do it all, you guys. And it starts with you guys in the chat. I know I've seen a couple people that I've recognized here before. We got my guy Lou Betya in the room saying there's a rumor that Working Man by Rush is about you. You know, I saw Rush a few times in high school, man, and college. Great band. Yeah, those guys busted ass. Rest in peace, Neil Peart. And yeah, I'm working hard today, but tomorrow I got the day off, so I get to relax a little bit. Lou also saying there's also been a sharp plunge in Bitcoin price since your slander of the Sluggernaut. The Sluggernaut Johnny Parsons, I guess. Oh, I've been slandering a lot of people this week, though, not just Johnny Parsons. But yeah, if the Bitcoin drop is on me, I apologize to everybody because I don't want to have that on my shoulders. But I can only run my channel the way that I best see fit, and in this case, yeah, I'm going to have to still say that would have been the worst fight of the year probably, but it's not going to happen. We got Brahimaj versus Gilmore instead. It's a lateral move, but I think we're going to see it be a little bit more of a one-sided matchup. Oh, man. Long day, you guys. We got Mark Schillingberg in the room saying, Uncle Weezy, oi, let's get into this fight. Got just enough time to squeeze this breakdown in before bedtime. Got to get up early. You guys all work so hard, too. You can get up earlier than I do, man. Sergio's a beaut saying, you've been putting in work, Unc. That's right, man. But got to get the work done, man, because we got to make some money off these bookies, and we got to get the content out nice and early so we can beat this line movement. Mark Schillingberg saying, RoboCop by sub early? I don't know. Let's find out. Yeah, man, it's going to be a great fight. We got Robert saying, let's get it. We got, you have the day off? Lucky you, Weezy. Yeah, man. I do have the day off tomorrow. We got Sergio's Abuse, cough, cough, Benavides. Yeah, I know, man. I know. It's Joe. It's Joe. Joe Z. Come on, you guys. You know what's happening here. Josie's got power. And like I said, I just don't think anybody's seen the two of them in the same room at the same time. That's all I'm saying. Somebody sends me a picture of Josiane Nunez and Joe Benavidez in the same room at the same time, I'll shut up. I promise. I just want to see that picture. And we got Daz Files saying, bet smart, maintain the right mindset, and let's bash these bookies. You got the right mindset right there, my friend. Bankroll management, discipline, hammer the spots that stick out. And let's do that. Let's share the screen here. Let's get my guy Smooth Jimmy Apollo up here on the screen. Right 52% of the time, you guys. That's why we make money. It's because of the hard work and the professionalism that Smooth Jimmy brings to the broadcast here. And here we got him up. We can get these stats up, you guys. I got the betting lines. I got the stats. And by the way, you can download all the stats for free in the description of the video. The link to Stat Diggers is in there. The link to my Twitter is in there. If you ever have any questions, hit me up there. After this tonight, I can start on next week's stats because we got UFC 272 being headlined by Colby Covington versus Jorge Masvidal. So even though it's a day off of me producing content, it's not going to be a day off, man, because we got a lot of work to do and we got way more fights coming up in March. 4 straight weeks of fights in March. We're on an 8-week stretch of 8 weeks of straight fights here at the UFC. So I got a lot of work to do. Let's get into the stats for this very intriguing matchup between Armen Petrosyan and Gregory Rodrigues. So I've got these guys being the same height here. I've got a 4-inch reach advantage for Gregory Rodrigues. They are both orthodox fighters. We got Petrosyan coming out of Universal Fighters, and we got Gregory Rodrigues fighting out of X Gym. When we get to the experience numbers, we're going to see that Gregory Rodrigues has got 14 professional fights, while Armen Petrosyan only has 7. We got more than twice as much time in the pro cage for Gregory Rodrigues. The average fight time for both of these guys is below 7 minutes. So that is why the fight doesn't go to decision. Is so crazy right now. And let me just get that line up here on the screen for you guys. And oh, yeah, there we go. So that you guys know what's going on there. So we've got a nice little experience advantage here, a nice little size advantage for Gregory Rodrigues with the reach. He's also a little bit younger. And we've got 2 more UFC level fights and about 20 more minutes in the UFC cage as well, in addition to 4 more years as a pro. So Gregory Rodrigues has got the size advantage and he's got the experience advantage. When we get into the finish stats, both of these guys are excellent finishers. Petrosyan has finished all 6 of his pro wins by knockout. And we got Rodrigues with a 45% finish rate by knockout, a 36% finish rate by sub, 81% finish rate overall. That is 9 of 11 wins being inside the distance here for Gregory Rodrigues. We've got 15 out of their 17 combined wins coming inside the distance for almost like an 86% finish rate in their wins. And in their 4 combined losses, we have 3 of those 4 losses coming inside the distance, all by knockout. As Armen Petrosyan has been knocked out once, and Gregory Rodrigues has been knocked out in 2 of his 3 pro losses, you guys. We've got, for the striking stats, we don't have much of a sample size here. We really only have the Kolev fight for Petrosyan. He landed 4.49 per minute and absorbed only 1.12. He threw a lot more strikes than his opponent did, and he landed with 57% accuracy, landed 1 knockdown in 20 significant strikes landed. That's averaging out to 3.37 knockdowns per 15 minutes. He showed 54.5% striking defense, and mostly what he did in that fight was just fight off takedowns. Really, Kolev was trying to take him down for the entire fight, and when Petrosyan finally got some room there at the end of the first, he landed some big shots and ended the fight. He folded Kolev in half. Gregory Rodrigues is putting up some really nice numbers in these 3 UFC fights, guys. 6 significant strikes landed per minute and only 4.35 absorbed. 57% striking accuracy. The volume is there as he throws, and his opponents are throwing over 10 significant strike attempts per minute. Gregory Rodrigues has been knocked down once, and he's absorbing 0.59 knockdowns for 15 minutes. So when it comes to striking for this fight, you guys, when you watch the tape, what you see in the Petrosyan fights is that his opponents are attempting to wrestle him. They don't really want to be at distance with him. They don't really want to strike with him. Gregory Rodrigues, on the other hand, tends to be comfortable everywhere. He's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, high level at that. He does get a lot of wins by submission, and he's got some really nice judo takedowns and folk wrestling takedowns. He can get them in a number of different ways. He definitely works for submissions when he gets to the ground, is looking to advance position, is looking to get to the back, and is looking to finish fights. So Petrosyan has done a really good job of using his wrestling in reverse to not let his opponents do probably what Gregory Rodrigues is going to try to do, which is get him to the ground, work him, work for a submission. But he uses that wrestling in reverse to try to keep the fight standing, and he's at his most comfortable when he's standing. And he does a lot of good work there. So he's knocking out a lot of Russians who tend to wrestle him. And all of his fights that I watched on the regional scene and even on the Contender Series were the same fight. It was just his opponent trying to take him down, pressing for the takedown over and over and over again. Petrosyan doing a really good job of not making big mistakes, not giving up his back. When he does get taken down, he gets to the cage, uses the cage to help him stand up, works for underhooks, works for wrist control, and tries to get himself into situations where he could use that cage to get him to stand up, break the grip, and get away from his opponent. So he's always looking to use the wrestling in reverse. Gregory Rodrigues has done a good job getting the takedowns, but he doesn't spam takedown attempts. He does happen to be and look very comfortable on the feet. So I've heard people breaking down this fight thus far this week, and they talk about Petrosyan needs to strike and Rodrigues needs to wrestle. And I think they're half right. I think Petrosyan absolutely needs to strike. He doesn't use his grappling offensively. But Rodrigues looks really good on the feet to me, you guys. He's got good boxing. He hits hard. The punches come straight. He throws kicks. He keeps a high guard, and he moves his head all right. I mean, he doesn't move his head like Alejandro Perez or anything like that, but he definitely does move his head quite a bit. And he's fairly defensively responsible. Even here, a 58.43% striking defense over a 3-fight sample size is not bad at all. And landing 1.65 more significant strikes than he absorbs per minute shows that, he can absolutely dodge some shots, use some footworks, and keep his hands high so that he can block some punches coming his way. So I do think that Gregory Rodrigues can have some success here in the striking, but Petrosyan's probably the more likely one to have success in the strike. And when we get to the grappling stats here, we've got Gregory Rodrigues, 5 of 10 on his takedown attempts here at 50% in 3 fights is very good. He's averaging 2.94 takedowns per 15 minutes, and he's got 18.6% control time for and 7.5% control time against. So he's out controlling his opponents at about a 2.5 to 1 ratio. 50% takedown accuracy, 100% takedown defense. So Gregory Rodrigues has been excellent. He's been efficient. When he has taken the fight to the ground, he is very good at advancing position and looking for submissions. In the first round against Jun-Yong Park, they battled it out on the feet for like the first 3 minutes. Then Rodrigues got a takedown. He was patient looking for that takedown, and he got the first one that he attempted. And when he got on top, he was working. He was advancing position. He was landing ground and pound. He eventually got to the back, was landing some heavy ground and pound when the round ended. That fight was reffed by one Keith Peterson. So you know that he, like Gregory, get some shots off there without worrying about stepping in. So I've seen Gregory look very efficient on the ground, very good on the ground, and he's more he's a little bit different than the grapplers that Petrosyan was seeing on the Russian regional scene, which are guys that are more wrestlers first and control guys first, rather than trying to finish fights with chokes, submissions, advancing position, things like that. They're really looking to ride and control more than they are looking to finish the fight. And Gregory Rodrigues looks to finish fights with his grappling. He does have that high-level Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu background, and he is going to look to pass position and finish the fight down there. So I think Petrosyan is going to see a little bit different of a style of grappling and top control out of Rodrigues than he has out of his prior opponents. And if Gregory wants to try to control large swaths of this fight on the fence and on the ground, he's already shown, Petrosyan has, that he can be controlled. He was controlled for 79.4% of the 4.4 minutes that he was in the cage against Kolev. 80% basically. So that would be, 0.44 times 8 would be 3.2. Yeah, so like about 3.6 minutes of this, he was controlled on the ground and on the fence by Kolev. So he gave up a whole bunch of minutes of control time in this fight. And he's not going to want to do that against Rodrigues, because Rodrigues is going to use that control time to look to finish a fight rather than just win minutes there. But the good news about this is when you see somebody get 0.37% control time for and no takedowns, and 79.4% control time against and 3 takedowns against, you're going to see somebody that lost a fight. But in this case, Petrosyan won the fight, and he won it in the first round. And it goes to show you how dangerous he can be with his striking if you give him space. Only 20% of this fight took place standing. And, that's less than 1 minute. And that's all that it took Armen Petrosyan to get a knockout victory. So Rodrigues is going to have to be very defensively responsible when he is on the feet here, you guys. But I do believe that when it's on the feet, this is going to be close to a 50-50 fight. I haven't seen anything out of Petrosyan striking on the regional scene that leads me to believe that like he's Mahmoud Muradov or something like that, that he's untouchable, that he's got great defensive footwork, that he's got perfect range management, that he moves well, all those things. I mean, he hits really hard, and he's got 6 wins, 100% of his wins inside the distance by knockout. But he's not like this elite level striker that's going to, that has like this K1 kickboxing background and 100 kickboxing wins or anything like that. This is a guy that's older than Gregory Rodrigues, less experienced than Gregory Rodrigues, not even close to the grappling pedigree of Gregory Rodrigues, and who hasn't even faced as good of a competition as Gregory Rodrigues here. So Rodrigues really does have all the advantages here in all the relevant categories other than striking. Now, we can't really hang our hat on the striking metrics that Petrosyan has put up because it's only one fight and it's only one round of UFC action that we have for a sample size here. But, if we look back to the regional scene, we do see that this guy is a striker first and a grappler second. So I believe that Gregory Rodrigues is going to have more ways to win these fights, to win this fight. He can mix in his wrestling. He can mix in his grappling. And I think he has a good chance to land some big shots, too, as he recently knocked out a really good boxer with an iron chin in Janyong Park. So we don't have much in the way of strength of schedule stats here, you guys. The guys that Gregory Rodrigues is beating have an average record of 3-1 in the UFC for a 3.0 ratio in 4 total fights, so that's pretty good. But what's funny is the guy that he lost to was Jordan Williams, who's actually 2-4 in the UFC. He's got a win over Tim Karen on the Contender Series, and he's got a win over Gregory Rodrigues on the Contender Series. But he's also got a Contender Series loss and then 3 UFC losses. So, a 2-4 record was the guy that beat him. So Gregory Rodrigues got knocked out by a lower level guy, but he's beaten the higher level guys that he's faced in the UFC. When we look at the last 5 fights here for Petrosyan, we see all knockouts, a win by knockout over Ali Skarov, a win by knockout over Minikov, a loss by knockout to Hassan Yousefi. That was in the first round. That was in the first minute and a half. Alexander Zamyakov, a win by knockout, and then Kalian Kolev. So a lot of V's there, a lot of wrestlers, a lot of Russians. This guy is, fighting regional scene competition, but it's good regional scene competition like you always get there in that part of the world, man. There are some nasty dudes over there that wrestle, that do sambo, that have some really good kickboxing backgrounds as well. So Petrosyan is probably going to be ready for this level, but we have to be very aware that we know that this guy is good on the feet. But we don't want to get too out over the skis about that skill when we look at all the other things that come into this fight: the experience, the size, the level of competition, the grappling. And then in addition to all that, Petrosyan is a one-way finisher. He only finishes by knockout. So that means he's not going to be the best minute winner because he's never won a decision. He's never had to win enough minutes in a fight to win a decision. So I think Gregory Rodrigues would be the more likely one here to win a decision because he's had to win minutes before and because he's seen the scorecards before. So when we look at the record here, we're going to take a look real briefly at the record of Petrosyan and Rodrigues, especially on the regional scene here, just to see these guys that he's been fighting. So we see the win in 3 minutes of round 1 to an 0-1 Makhmad Sharif Mirzo Kadzayev. And then we got a win over a 2-3 Sultan Gizatulin. We got a win over the 8-0 Artur Ali Skarov and a win over a 4-1 Dmitry Minikov. I don't remember which of these fights I watched, but I know I watched the Ali Skarov, the Minikov, the Yousefi fights. And these were really good opponents in all 3 cases. I mean, we're talking about guys with a 19-4-1 record over this 3-fight stretch here in AMC and in the MMA Festival. So definitely some really good competition here. Then he beats an 0-0 guy, and he gets onto the Contender Series, beats Kolev, who was a 10-0 guy going into that fight. Now, Rodrigues was an LFA champion before he got to the UFC, and after he lost to Jordan Williams on the Contender Series. But when we go back here to 2014, when Rodrigues started his career, we got a loss to Bruno Lopez, a loss to Renato Rangel, and a win over Douglas Carvalho. So he started 1-2. And then we got the wins over Aurelio, Robert Reed, Umar Gaisumov. This is a great fight, you guys. If you can watch this one on YouTube, I believe. It was an ACB fight that took place in Brazil. And Umar Gaisumov really got off quickly in that fight, knocked down Rodrigues and almost finished him. And Rodrigues definitely survived, got back to his feet, and wound up landing a knockout over this Gaisumov guy. So he was undefeated until he ran into Hobo Cop. And then we got Edilberto de Oliveira, a veteran here, 30-18-2, a win over Tanner Saraceno, a win over Brandon Hester at 4-1. Then he lost to Jordan Williams in the Contender Series. And then a win over Al Matavo, a win over Josh Fremd here in LFA that got him the championship. The unanimous decision win over Dusko. The knockout win over Jun Young Park, which was an absolutely fantastic fight. I was tired before this Balls Deep breakdown, and in order to get the inspiration to do one more hour of content with you guys today, I had to rewatch that Jun Young Park RoboCop fight, and man, it got me going, dude. It's such a good fight. You really get to see both of these guys have got some nice boxing. You really get to see RoboCop's ability to get the fight to the ground and how aggressively he works for submissions and finishes when he is on the ground, and how good his ground and pound is. Great fight there. And then we got a couple of grappling fights here, a draw against Joe Selecki, a much smaller guy, and then a win over Cody Steele. And here we come in. It's been about 4 months since his win over Jun Young Park, and we've got Armen Petrosyan coming to town, making his debut. So you've got the ticker going across the bottom of the screen there, you guys. You see that Armen Petrosyan is a plus 140 underdog here, and Gregory Rodrigues clocking in as the minus 160 favorite. The best fight doesn't go to decision line that we can find right now is minus 325, but it's up to minus 450 right now on DraftKings. So this is a fight that absolutely the Vegas sees this one finishing inside the distance, and I don't blame them. You know, both of these guys have got seriously good finish rates on the offensive end. They've been finished in 3 of their 4 combined losses. Both of these guys have serious power on the feet, and we've seen Petrosyan, you know, not be the best in the grappling exchanges. He's good defensively and good at not making mistakes, but in this case, you know, he might be seeing a little more aggressive brand of jiu-jitsu here, trying to pass, trying to land ground and pound, and trying to finish the fight. So, you know, like the fight starts round 2 is minus 135 over here. I mean, that's, you know, the fight's only got to go 5 minutes for that to cash. Fight starts round 3 plus 180. Yeah, so, and then fight goes to decision plus 300 here on DraftKings. For Petrosyan to win by knockout, it's plus 200. And for Rodrigues to win by knockout, we can get as good as plus 210 here on Bet Online. We can actually get better numbers than we did for Petrosyan, which is interesting to me. And then obviously nobody thinks Petrosyan's going to submit anybody. And the Rodrigues by submission is plus 350 to plus 450, depending on where you bet it. And then the inside the distance lines sitting around plus 180 for Petrosyan, and sitting about plus 110 is the best that we can get on a Rodrigues inside the distance here. Petrosyan has been finishing his only loss, and it was by knockout, but we could potentially see him be submitted here too, as we do know that Hobo Cop is a very good finisher here, and he finishes by knockout and submission. For a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guy, you know, he's got 4 wins by submission and 5 by knockout. So he's actually got more knockouts than submissions. But, you know, I think that's a case we see when we see a lot of dangerous grapplers who can strike as well. When you're constantly having to worry about that takedown, it makes your striking even better than it would be if people didn't have to worry about that takedown, didn't have to worry about your top control, your top game, your submission game. So, you know, I guess in a nutshell, you guys, I'm very high on Armen Petrosyan's striking, and I think he does a fantastic job. And I think he'll probably be the more likely guy to land the big shots in this fight. But Gregory Rodrigues has got the reach advantage. Gregory Rodrigues is younger on paper. I wouldn't be surprised if he was 45. The guy looks like the Brazilian version of Barack Obama. I mean, there's really no. I mean, he looks like Barack Obama got on steroids and just started going to the mixed martial arts gym like right after, he got done with his 8-year presidency. So yeah, Gregory Rodrigues is 30 years old with his Brazilian certificates there, but I think he might be a little bit older than that. But on paper, he's the younger guy here. On paper, he's got the reach advantage. He's got twice as many pro fights. He's got 3 times as many UFC fights and about 5 times as much time in the UFC cage. He's got the better grappling game. He's fought probably the better competition over his career, and he's been doing it just a little bit longer, about 3-4 years more as a pro. So if you think that Petrosyan's way better on the feet than Rodrigues is going to be, then maybe it's worth a shot to try to take that plus 200 knockout prop or something, or take the inside the distance prop on Petrosyan. But my pick here is going to be Gregory Rodrigues, and I'm going to be picking him to win by second round knockout. I believe the grappling attack of Rodrigues is going to be a little too much for Petrosyan in this spot, too much too soon. There's just too many advantages here for Gregory Rodrigues, and I got to tell you, man, when you bring that type of grappling that he does, it really does change your ability to be able to really sit down on your punches, sit down on your kicks, and try to finish the fight. Because every time you throw one of those leg kicks or body kicks or head kicks, you risk it getting caught, you risk getting taken to the ground. And with a guy like Rodrigues, it doesn't take him long, man. He's so aggressive down there. He's so good down there. He's so good at getting your back. He's so smooth for a big muscular guy that, you really got to be careful and choose your spots. And that leads me to believe he might be a little bit low volume on the feet. And we could see Petrosyan kind of get caught in a staring contest on the feet and really be out of his depth on the mat here. So let's see here. So we got Eric Cote in the room saying Rodrigues gets KO'd while death gassed. Yeah, he was death gassed against Jun Yong Park there, but found enough power in those hands to still win the fight. Hammering Hogs asking Weezy who you got, man. I got Rodrigues, and I got him winning inside the distance. Hammering Hog, good to see you, brother. We got Blood Money saying, Weezy, what's up, brother? I had to just stay away from betting this and just watching for future betting. I can see this fight going so many different ways. Yeah, that's kind of how I feel like the Sarukian fight can go. Like that there's a lot of options, that both of those guys are more well-rounded than people give them credit for, and that there's a lot more potential outcomes than what people think. And I can see what you're saying with this fight, because like when I really looked into it, it's on the surface, it kind of looks like a striker versus grappler matchup. Like, oh yeah, Petrosyan's going to want to strike. Rodrigues is going to want to grapple. But, I mean, you look at Rodrigues, 18.6% control time, 4 in 3 fights. It's not like this guy's Makhachev. He's not going out there and controlling half of the cage time. He's not going out there chaining together 5, 6 takedown attempts until he finally gets one and then riding out the rest of the round on top. It's a different kind of grappling. And he's good because as a middleweight, because he has so much muscle on his frame, he needs to be very careful with how he expends his energy. And you don't see him wasting his energy selling out for the takedown early in the fight, because he's got faith in his striking as well. And you can see he's got power in his hands. And boy, when he hits people, it hurts. And he knocks people out. The Josh Friend knockout was scary. The Jun Yong Park knockout was scary. This guy definitely hits hard. And I just think I could see this fight going a few different ways. I could absolutely see Gregory Rodrigues landing a knockout on the feet here. I could see Petrosyan, maybe landing a big shot as Rodrigues comes in for a takedown. I could see Petrosyan maybe even landing some big elbows in the clinch. There's a lot of different ways that this one can go, but I really like the price on Gregory Rodrigues here. Right? Like I say, I think if you look at all the categories and you're honest with yourself about who has the advantages there, then it's going to be Rodrigues who's looking a little bit better just about everywhere. And we got Sean Cundy saying, "Oi, War RoboCop, please grapple." Man, yeah, if he grapples, he'll be looking a lot better. We got my guy Boston Nick from Pub Sports Radio in the room saying, "Balls deep." He knows how we do it here on this channel. What up, Boston? We got Hams in the room saying, "Loved your McKinney versus Ziam breakdown." I appreciate that, Hams. Haven't seen you in here before live with us. I'm glad you're in here hanging out, man. And I'm glad you like the breakdowns, man. Subscribe to the channel. I do them every single week, and we do the full card breakdown every Tuesday night called Just the Tip, where I give you just the tip of all these stats for all 12 fights on the card. Now we're down to 11 because we lost Goldie Fry, but still a good card for betting, still a fun card to watch, and hopefully we can all make a ton of money on this one. We got Strickland Burner in the room saying this is a good fight, and yeah, it is, man. It's a really good fight. Blood Money saying Petrosyan has been knocked out in under 2 minutes himself. Yes. So we definitely count out Gregory's striking. All the undefeated Russians he beat had wrestling on him, but no BJJ to back it up. Exactly what I was saying. I couldn't agree with you more there, Blood Money. It's wrestlers first, not submission wrestlers, not catch wrestlers. And Gregory Rodrigues is going to be working for that submission. LOL, wow, he lost to Williams. Yeah, you know, the one thing about Williams, people don't give him enough credit. That dude's got serious power in his hands, you guys. And when he hits, it absolutely hurts. It's just, you know, at this level, you got to be really good. And for a kid with type A diabetes to go as far as Jordan Williams did in the UFC, rack up 6 UFC level fights. I mean, big up Jordan Williams. And yeah, dude, the kid's for real too. He's a good fighter. He knocked out Gregory Rodrigues, for Christ's sake. That is no small feat here. And Rodrigues has been on a heater since. So yeah, cut Jordan Williams some slack, man. He's a good fighter and he hits really hard. He's got nice hands, man. And Blood Money saying, "What's up to the Strickland Burner and Boston accounts, man?" We got Jay in the room saying, "If you close the distance and throw combinations at Rodrigues, he can be knocked out. He has slow reaction time on the inside." Yeah, we saw Jun Yong Park do exactly that to him. Blood Money said, "Yup, Jay is definitely right about that." And yes, he is. Iron Turtle had him standing straight up, eating punches a couple times with his chin up in the air, too. As he got tired, that chin got higher and higher. It was just begging to be touched. Jay saying, "Yes, Blood, the fighter has to commit to it 100% to try to KO him like Williams did. Park tried it and almost did it as well. He was so close, man. But, you know, it was that day Rodriguez's chin held up. It didn't hold up against Williams. So, yeah, I don't know what happened there. I didn't have a bet on Rodrigues, but I think I had him in my big cash lineup that I play in a few different tournaments. And about halfway through that second round, I was like, oh boy, I'm not going to get much out of Rodrigues. And then he came back and he won the fight, and I could not believe it. All right. And we've got Blood Money saying, "I can't bring myself to bet this fight." I don't have a bet on this fight yet either. I'd like to bet the fight doesn't go to decision, but at that line, there's no value. Right. I'm saying he definitely can be pressured into eating shots, standing straight up and KO'd. I'm agreeing with you. Yeah, for sure. Blood Money saying Petrosyan by KO has to be the bet if you're betting him, right? Yeah, because 100% of his wins are by KO. Because he potentially could lose a lot of minutes in the grappling exchanges, just like he did against Kolev when he gave up almost 80% control time over one round. It's almost impossible to win a round when you get control for 4 of the 5 minutes. So he can lose minutes in the grappling and potentially even in the striking too if he's a little bit low volume and he's worried about Rodrigues closing the distance to get that takedown. Jay saying, "In my opinion, yes, I don't know much about Petrosyan, but he seems to have a decent striking style to be able to KO Rod." Yeah. Danny Lopez saying, "I'm thinking of parlaying him with the other Armen for the Armenian parlay." Yeah, so we've got Armen Petrosyan and we've got Arman Sarukian. So it's Armen and the Arman, but what they are both is Armenian, baby. And that we've got 2 of them on this card. Armenia, stand up, baby. This is a big representation for you guys. It's been a minute. We had Manny Gamburian back in the day. We had Karo Parisian. The Armenians out there know their judo, and that is for damn sure. And they are tough people. So, yeah, we got a couple more coming into the UFC, and I cannot wait. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this one, you guys. But this Petrosyan here, he's got the Armenian name, but I think he's actually of Russian descent. but I might be wrong about that. But with a name like Armen Petrosyan, that's definitely an Armenian name. Yeah, you guys, the pick for me is going to be Gregory Rodrigues. I think Rodrigues does get it done inside the distance, and Rodrigues inside the distance at plus 110 is not tickling my fancy, you guys. It's not getting me giddy. It's not having me run to the window with 5 units saying, please, for the love of Jah, put this on Hobo Cop by finish. I just don't think there's enough value there. But I do think that RoboCop's the more well-rounded guy with a lot of advantages in a lot of key areas here. I think that this is going to be a bit of a veteran lesson here for Petrosyan coming in, and that he's going to need to round out his game a little bit more before he has success on this level, you guys. Successful day for me. I had 3 shows today, 1 on Pub Sports, 2 on my channel, and another that I taped for Pub Sports that will be coming out later. It's a combat court talking about the Kevin Holland versus Alex Oliveira fight coming up at UFC 272. It's been a busy week of content creation for me, but I'm taking the next 2 days off of content creation. Thank you for hanging out with me on my channel here Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, you guys. Shout out to my guy, F. Carrillo, who asked for these balls deep breakdowns on the Zion McKinney and the Petrosyan Rodrigues fights. Big up all you guys for spending your Wednesday night with me, your host, Uncle Weezy, here on my YouTube channel. And let's stack cash tickets like flapjacks for UFC Vegas 49. And I will be right back here next week on my channel for a lot of content on the UFC 272 pay-per-view card that's coming up March 5th, I believe. Colby Covington versus Jorge Masvidal. It doesn't get any better than that, you guys. God bless each and every one of you, and I will see you next week.